Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews. Today I have for you Indecent Proposal, a 1993 American drama film based on the novel of the same name by Jack Engelhardt, in which a married couple's relationship is put into turmoil by a stranger's offer of $1 million for the wife to spend the night with him. It was directed by the British Adrian Lyne. You may know him from Unfaithful, Flashdance, 9.5 Weeks, Fatal Attraction. This movie stars Robert Redford, Demi Moore, and Woody Harrelson. Engelhardt's novel contained cultural friction that the screenwriter left out of the movie. The main character, named Joshua, is Jewish and his billionaire opposition is an Arabic person. The billionaire is no longer an Arab person in this movie, and it's actually the most seductive American figure imaginable at that time, who was basically an icon of suave sophistication, Robert Redford, who plays John Gage. In the 1990s, Demi Moore became the highest paid female movie star in the world, playing aggressive, strong-willed women who trade on their sexuality to get ahead. She lucratively played a stripper in 1996's Striptease, and also was very harassing in Disclosure with Michael Douglas. And for the purposes of this movie, Diana Murphy, a real estate agent turned prostitute for the night in this Adrian Lyne directed Indecent Proposal. From the beginning, the dialogue between Diana and Gage focuses on his desire to buy her body and her stern insistence that it's not for sale. Diana and David have been in love since high school and have stuck together through thick and thin, and architecture school for David, until, well, they go broke. After gambling away all of their savings on roulette, they encounter billionaire John Gage. Gage is attracted to Diana and offers them $1 million to allow him to spend the night with her. After a difficult night, David and Diana decide to accept the offer, and a contract is signed the next day. One of Demi Moore's good lines in this movie was that the dress was for sale and that she wasn't. Gage, on the other hand, he doesn't take no for an answer. He's basically blessed to inhabit a cursed world where perfection is ubiquitous to the point where it stops being special. Take the perfect love shared by David and his wife, Diana, before Gage slithers his way into their Garden of Eden with his apple in the form of a check of $1 million. I mean, what would you say to that? Like, that's definitely a moral issue in, a married couple who don't have any money, who swear that it's just one night. Next thing you know, their lawyer ends up coming in, where he's played by Oliver Platt, who provides a great burst of energy and comedy in this film. They basically end up just saying bye to each other, and next thing you know, Gage flies Diana out on his yacht. Indecent Proposal goes hard at trying to make a bland plot respectable, but only succeeds in making it tedious. The film goes to great lengths to illustrate that. While sleazy and disreputable, what Gage is doing is perfectly above board. This is Nevada, after all, where prostitution is legal. David and Diana have their lawyer go over the contract and everything. We don't even see Diana have sex with this charming older man. It's merely implied, as the film skips from Diana being fiery and defiant and then yielding to her coming home to David. This is not as well as it sounds, though, because it transforms David from Mr. Perfect to Mr. Jealousy. He becomes cold and accusatory, and his mood just basically pushes his wife into Gage's waiting arms, which really hurts. After being high school sweethearts and being in love, things start out really good until, David just has this feeling that he can't really shake off, which I can totally understand. I never would check purses and phones and things like that. It's like, if you go looking for treasure, you might find gold. I found it really surprising that Diana actually went to Gage, even after she found out that he had scooped up their dream house. Like, that was just brutal. He was thinking of everything he could do to really get her attention. Shows up at her job. David and Diana used to spend their time just saying how much they loved each other. Like, "Have I ever told you that I love you?" was their famous line. They didn't even, bang. They made love to the sounds of Sade and Seal, and in comes this billionaire with this check. It's just a shame. Personally, I'm attracted to films about failed characters, especially the ones who redeem themselves, like Woody Harrelson. He was just a guy who let his wife sleep with another man, and then he was racked by guilt. And the exciting part was just the fact that she did it. Like, I just keep coming back to that question, which was also on the jacket cover of Engelhardt's book. It's just, what would you do for $1 million? You know, the reckless nature of infidelity is basically what this movie was about. Like, you could be the happiest person on earth, and suddenly someone can come around and your life could just transform for the worse. You know, I thought that maybe if it was a crappy marriage, then okay, she would have a motive in doing something like that. But, you know, money can influence a marriage like that, make you make, you know, amoral decisions. In my opinion, this was definitely a good film. It was about the conflict between money and morality and the perils of sexual jealousy. I mean, you know, it's just, everything has a glittering surface, but, you know, the appeal of this movie was so much greater. You know, it didn't live up to the hype that it caused in 1993. I wasn't there I was there, but I didn't see it. It was obviously a bit too much of an adult movie for me at that time, but I really liked this movie. It's definitely a femme fatale sort of movie, with Demi Moore in another great role. In the end, Woody Harrelson ends up spending this money on a hippo, to be honest with you. David tells Gage that they need to have a talk. Gage seems to recognize that. Diana would never have looked at him the same, realizing that David was truly the love of her life. He's never had love at that point, and she obviously wants to return to her husband. You know, Gage makes up a story that she was one of the latest in the long line of $1 million girls, which implied that, I guess, basically he did this all the time and he was some womanizer. He gives her his lucky coin, and it's also revealed to be double-headed. The final part may not be what you expected, but it was nevertheless intriguing. The story, in my opinion, could have been written much better, but maybe someday a person will have the nerve to remake it. I like this movie a lot more than Unfaithful because the premise involves money and the couple were very much in love. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews. Please subscribe.